So today I want to talk about the sugar trap and how ultra-processed foods are hijacking your body. Now, over the last couple of weeks, there's been more and more stuff popping out about ultra-processed foods, especially in light of some of the government changes and policy changes that are coming. Making America healthy again has become a topic of conversation, regardless of your political standing. So I want to talk about some data, drop it out there. This is one of our Friday mini deep dives. People have been coming and asking us questions about some stuff. And so I want to give you some data points and some things to think about to answer the question, is processed food actually hijacking our bodies? Is sugar actually killing us, increasing our risk of cancer? Short answer is yes, but let's actually dive into some data. The first thing is to think about cancer back in the 1950s. The incidence has skyrocketed 80% since 1990 in those over 50. I want you to think about that just a little bit. If you're over 50, cancer has skyrocketed over 80% since 1990. Now that's, let's go back a little further. In 1900, 1 in 100 people got cancer in their life. 1990, 1 in 3, now 1 in 2. So that's, those are two different sources that actually correlate with. So the question is, what is potentially going on? The thing is, we've seen the biggest jumps in breast cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, and uterine cancer. And so the reality is my wife right now, she has friends, where my daughter goes to therapy. There are people that have had breast, colon cancer, and it's getting more common, individuals younger. So this is not just a statistic, it's actually a lived experience by many of us that we know people. I'm 52 and I have friends that actually are passing away in their early 50s. And so it's a little crazy. So the question is, what is driving this? Well, it's interesting because processed meats are now classified as far as their cancer risk category in the same classification as tobacco and asbestos. So what do you mean by processed meat? These are your lunch meats that have nitrates, nitrosamines. An interesting aside on this, when my family, this is pre-pandemic, but we actually went down to Costa Rica to study Spanish on a little mission compound down there. Turista de Alba and La Provincia de Cartago was actually where we're at, Cartago, Costa Rica. And little did I know that while we were there, we actually went to one of the 3 gastric cancer capitals of the world. And my teacher was out, she found out what I did, started asking me questions. Why do we have more cancer here, yada, yada, yada. So I started talking to her, asking her things. Come to find out, one, there, part of the culture, your sausage, processed meats was a huge part of the diet. And it's kind of just makes you wonder, like, life experience kind of backing up data. And that's one of the things when we hear data statistics, statistics are just a number until you know someone who has something. That's where sharing the numbers as well as showing stories, I think, helps make things a little more impactful. The other thing is that obesity has quadrupled since 1975, and obesity by itself is related to over 13 cancers. So just having more obesity, which again, it's 4 times greater now. I was born in 73, so there's 4 times more obesity now, which is associated with 13 plus cancers. So these are all concerning data points. And there's also finding out that the combination of different cocktails, so to speak, of chemicals in our environment, phthalates, bisphenol A, PFASs, which are polyfluorinated alkyl substances, all these things actually damage our DNA. They can actually cause instability in our DNA. And when you have that, what happens is over time, these genetic instabilities can result in mutations that ultimately form cancer. And even moderate amounts of alcohol is now considered a group 1 carcinogen. So group 1 carcinogens are tobacco, asbestos, moderate alcohol, and processed meats. Just think about that for a second. These are category 1, group 1 carcinogens. So don't recommend smoking, don't recommend asbestos, and don't recommend processed meats or moderate alcohol, which is kind of a bummer because a good glass of wine can be enjoyable, but just if you drink it, you should be knowing you're increasing your risk of cancer. And the thing about it is when you throw sugar on top of this increases your risk so you got cancer and you have neurological issues like stroke. Added sugars, extra sugars are the actually number 1 food to limit to prevent strokes. What's a safe amount of sugar every day? It's about 6 teaspoons a day for women and 9 for men. But every 5% increase, this is what is crazy, every 5% increase in sugar calories increases your risk for stroke about 10%. Okay, that's crazy. Now, put things in perspective, back 250 years ago, people weren't consuming, maybe half a teaspoon of sugar a day. Now, these Cokes and Pops, you're getting tablespoons, sometimes 15 or 20 teaspoons of sugar a day. Our sugar consumption is excessive. And again, every 5% increase in consumption results in a 10% increase stroke risk. Sugar triggers inflammation. And this inflammation is also related to damaging your vessels. For those of you who know about endothelial dysfunction, which your vessels for endothelium go to every part of your body. So what can you do? Remove these things, remove processed sugars, remove lunch meats, remove obviously alcohol, tobacco. These small things, they don't seem like major things, but they can have a massive impact on your risk for strokes and cancer. And so ultra processed foods, is just another kind of thing. 60% of what Americans eat is ultra processed, and just the food aspect, the dietary, about 80% of cardiovascular disease can be prevented by diet and lifestyle alone. So all of a sudden, These simple things you can do at home can have a massive impact on your health. So I hope this information was helpful. If you have questions, please drop your questions below. If you have something you'd like us to talk about, take a deep dive on, please let us know. We'd love to take these little deep dives to educate you more about things, small things you can do that can radically change your health trajectory. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.